Hey girl, what's going on? Tay, this your Bella Moore here. So let's get into a few things. Okay, what I wanted you all to know, okay, as I clearly sit up here and figure out my life, right? I mean, not just my life, but some people destinies can easily revolve around one little old person, which is not always a bad thing. And so, okay, well, you know what? How many of you all actually read books, let alone as many books as a millionaire does in a year? Okay. I just say that to say that you have to learn that you can. What's wrong, baby? Huh? Alrighty now, y'all. So, again, when we think about reading as many books as a millionaire does in a year, if not more, because when you read as many books as they do, or more than they do, then you begin to set yourself apart. You begin to understand the value in time and the reading materials that you have, and how I chose to accomplish this particular type of feat. At first, I was like, I'm only going to do novels. I'm only going to do like 2,500 page or 250 page books only for all 24. And when I thought about the principle, the things that I had readily available on hand, it just didn't make sense. So what I had on hand, plus what I came across and decided to use that time, which was devoted to picking up that knowledge for the 24 books as the overall minimum as the total, I decided that I was going to increase what I decided to read, and I was going to not look at the extensive amount of material, but necessarily just that the material was something that had to be read regardless nonetheless, and it was something new and fresh. That was basically how I counted my whole particular total. So for an example, that means that, let's say I'm doing a devotional. If I went through the entire daily devotional, I'll check it off. If I have devotionals that are thicker or smaller, I count those. If I have a magazine, I'm going to count it. If I have a type of self-care digital download that's maybe 40 pages, I count those. I do really small books in that particular amount. So it actually helps to achieve that goal a little bit more quickly. Now, if I have to do 5 to 7 books and give you a free resource and a template of all of the ones that I'll do, I will have to kind of sort of take that time out to make sure that you actually do have those. And how are you going to apply those in your own life? How are you going to figure out what it is that you may want to read yourself, particularly speaking? And you can read as much as you like. Right now, I want to say we're probably at least 37 books total, including magazines, devotionals, novels, short stories. And I like a good short story because, they're easy to read. You know what I mean? It's about kind of sort of just getting something on the palate necessarily than just feeling like you can only consume one type of thing in book. Like, you get stuck in thinking like that. It's like becoming a people pleaser or just thinking that somebody else's mindset matters over yours. And that's just not the case. You have to learn that you matter and that you are important, that your color matters, that the way that you are carrying yourself and conduct yourself matters. And the fact that millionaires make as much money as they do and they reading as much as they are, that means that they are not looking at parties. They are not looking to entertain other individuals. They are looking to sharpen their minds, their thought patterns, things that they think about, the way that they're thinking about things in life in order to enhance their goals, their resources, their finances, their home life, the way that they scale their businesses. They are so focused on not even just trying to figure out what it is that they're reading constantly. I mean, you think about the material in and of itself, wasting time trying to figure out what you're going to read and not going to. So, yeah, it's really kind of sort of like a defeat of purpose, because when you think about how often we have to really sit there and think about, okay, I'm going to read this only. It's like you limit yourself. You put yourself inside of this tiny, whiny, little, itsy-bitsy box. And you keep yourself there. And when you keep yourself in this tiny little thing and you begin to outgrow, what's going to happen? You're going to squish your vine if you're a plant, okay? Because the space that you need to accomplish this goal, you're unwilling to really look at and actually feel as though that's something that you can tolerate. But when you really are aware that you can read anything you want to read, that you can read as many small, and like, okay, I had a hypnosis book that I thought was really fun, and it was dealing with chakras. That's one really small book. I had one book that was really small that was dealing with self-sabotage, a great self-help book. I had another small book that was dealing with how to handle your time and stop being a procrastinator, how to handle time as a management tool a little more effectively to achieve some short-term goals a little more quickly. That was really probably one of my favorite ones, because the simple fact that I was able to have the idea of itself, instead of all novels, the really short books count as well, or the short stories were really able to put me on too. And so now that I'm able to do that and not just constantly look at a novel as the only way to be able to accomplish this particular goal of the millionaire's reading, it's like, okay, and I'm not saying that if I read as many books as a millionaire, I'll become a millionaire either. What I'm saying is that it's an aspiring tool to see if that's the case or not. And I encourage you all for the upcoming year to read at least 24 books as well. I only heard the one girl, she was only, I think, reading like 10 books that year or something. But I got into the habit of reading more books than I read the previous year, the following year. So the previous year, let's say I read 12 books. The following year, I decided to maybe read at least 15 books. Or like, you know, if it's 12, if I added 4, 3, or 2, or 1. Okay, so last year I did 12. This year I'm going to do 13. If I did 12 last year, this year I'm going to do 15. Like, and now, again, if you think about that quote, when the quote is telling us that, oh, okay, well, you know, you, if you don't try, you never know. So if I want to try to read as many books as a millionaire, and hopefully by doing those particular things, it's going to make me a millionaire in my own right as well, too, then that means that if I at least read the same amount, okay, then I'm testing this particular hypothesis and theory to see whether it's true or not. If I read as many books as you, I'll have as much money as you. You know what I mean? So that's just one of the ones that I encourage you on to explore too. If I read as many books as a millionaire, then I'll have just as much money as a millionaire does. And so that's really and what's weird about that, I just started working so much more. I just start feeling like, okay, I got to knock out some of these goals, or I have to put myself in spaces that really does help do that.